Hi there and welcome to the unboxing review for the Skywatcher Skymax 102 AZ Pronto. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank First Light Optics for loaning me this telescope. They're going to let me keep it for 2 months to give it a really good testing under the stars, and also because it's got a prism diagonal, it's also useful for daytime use, so I'll be doing daytime testing also. But for now, we're going to do an unboxing review just to show you what you get inside the package. We'll go really in depth with that. So if you want to skip ahead some bits, please do. I just want to give people a really good idea what they're getting when they buy this telescope. No time like the present, let's get stuck in and get the scissors on it and undo this box and see what we've got. So first thing to point out is it's double boxed, so we've got an inner box to undo also. So inside the double box we've got a series of smaller boxes. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 smaller boxes. I'm guessing this might be the tripod. It's that kind of size box. Let's have a little look in that one. And that is indeed the tripod in there, as suspected. And also there's the tray for the middle of the tripod. This is how it comes straight out of the box. We'll take a bit of a measurement of that. Fully folded down, that's 27 inches. Let's take a measurement of it fully. I'm going to extend it fully. So the legs extend by twisting these bits, and then you can just pull out, and then counterclockwise to lock it up. So I'll just do that with all 3 legs obviously, else it'd be wonky. Feeling the weight of it, it's extremely light. It's got to be aluminium really, which is sensible, and it's got some kind of black, slightly matte paint on there. It's very photographic, right down to the centre bolt. It's a 3/8 Whitworth like you get on a photographic tripod. Skywatcher appear to be sort of crossing over to the photographic market, which seems like a sensible move really with the smaller mounts. It will enable us to use photographic tripods with the mount head, so you can just sort of interchange things a bit more freely with photographic equipment. They're larger mounts, obviously I think they need a bit more industrial connection, so sticking with M10 with their larger mounts would be sensible, but for their very lightweight mounts like this, placing it in line with photographic equipment with the 3/8 Whitworth attachment seems like a good way to go. Next thing to do is to attach the spreader plate or the tray. Placing the spreader plate on, so it's like one of those toddler shape games. You put it on there like that, and then you twist clockwise, and then the arms catch under this little bracket, and they've got like little holes in there, so it kind of snaps into place, and that's really solid, and that's a good area for putting things like eyepieces or a red light torch, or even a small tablet would go there, or a phone, so you can sort of navigate the sky using an app. Let's have a look at how tall this tripod stands when it's fully extended. So from the ground to the plate where you attach the actual mount head, we're looking at 40, pretty much dead on 44 inches. Should we move on to another box? See what else we've got. So there's no sellotape on this one, it's just open it up. This is a bit better package than the tripod. It's got more bubble wrap, a bag with more bubble wrap inside. It's a bit close to the camera. You'd want this a bit better packaged really, because it is the actual Maxitov telescope itself. So it's nicely packaged up, that is, with the double boxing, and well, it's triple box plus a couple of layers of bubble wrap, so it's nice and safe. Let's have a little look here. The latest livery for Skywatcher is to have these kind of green accents, and I personally really like them. And that's beautiful. You can see the lovely black and silver flecked paint job there, and we've got the classic beware pointing the telescope to the sun. Let's have a quick look at the optics. So it's a push fit dust cap, but it's felt lined, so it goes on and off nice and smooth, and I don't know if you can see that. It's a beautiful thing looking down the optics of a Maxitov. It's very bling. It's a very bling experience. This is a folded design telescope. It's what we call catadioptric or compound telescope. There's a number of names to describe a telescope where the optics are folded within the tube. So the light's going to come through this corrector plate, bounce off the primary mirror at the back, bounce back, hit the back of the corrector plate where it's coated with another optical surface, and that's going to boost the light down the back of the tube, out through a hole in the back of the mirror, and then we put a diagonal on there to the eyepiece. So yeah, the second box contains the optical tube, so we'll set that up in a moment, but we need the bit to connect the tripod to the optical tube, which is the mount head. This box contains a leaflet, instruction manual, and it's very thick white foam either side of the mount head, and this appears to be aluminium again. I think the entire mount's made out of aluminium with obviously like hardened steel bolts and brass, bits of brass there by the looks of it. On the bottom there's the thread for the 3/8 Whitworth bolt on the tripod, and you've got this rubber ring here, so you've got a good grippy attachment. I'm now going to attach the mount head to the tripod, and that T-bar's lovely to use. Nip that up. Once the mount head's attached to the tripod, you can see that we've got two locks, one there and one there, and these are the out azimuth locking nuts, and as you can see there's a friction plate that allows you to make coarse adjustments in both axes. But if we lock those off, we can put slow motion controls on these pegs and then just make very fine adjustments. Both the locks for out azimuth are made out of plastic. The altitude's a bit stiffer than the azimuth, but it's actually freeing up a bit now. Let's do the crowning of the package and put the optical tube on the mount head. Some of the smaller scopes from Skywatcher have little holes in the dovetail on the side to locate with the screw on the mount, but this one doesn't. So this is made out of aluminium, so this will get chewed up a little bit by the bolt that secures it, but that's important because it's going to add grip to it and you don't want it slipping through that dovetail. So don't worry if straight away once you buy this dovetail is going to get scuffed up. That's a good thing because it's going to key it and it's going to grip, and it's a perfectly normal thing to happen straight away as soon as you buy a telescope. So we'll put that on there. Lovely. See how sturdy it feels. So one test I will do further down the line, once I've had time with this under the stars or outside in the daytime even, is to see how well the mount copes with dampening down the vibrations from making minor adjustments to the focuser, or if the tripod gets knocked slightly, how long the vibrations take to just settle down. You know, with the name of Pronto, it's obviously designed for a quick setup, so there's going to be a limit to how well it's going to perform form. I'm not expecting it at this price point, and for what the telescope is intended to be used for, I'm not going to expect it to be dampened down immediately, because it's obviously a very lightweight structure with hollow aluminium legs. So there will be a bit of vibration, no doubt, especially at such a long focal length of 1300mm. So this is box number 4. Let's see what we've got in this box. It's all the accessories. The erect prism diagonal there, a 10mm modified achromat eyepiece, the 25mm modified achromat eyepiece, the finder scope, the bracket for the finder scope, and some lovely slow motion controls. Box number 5 appears to be empty, and I think that's just to fill in the gaps so the other boxes don't rattle about. And conversely, box number 6 feels very heavy indeed. I'm just wondering what's in here. What have we got here? Oh yeah, aha, can't believe I almost forgot about that. Yeah, it comes with an extension pair. Now this is probably more use for the other versions of this package, because there are 2 other versions of this package. There's a 910mm focal length 90mm f10 refractor, which this would be ideal for because that's a long tube, so when you're tilting up, the eyepiece is going to get low, so this extension allows that to be brought up to a more comfortable position where you're not crooking your back to bend down to observe with. The other package is a 130mm aperture f5 reflector, where just like this telescope you probably wouldn't need this so much. So this is mainly going to come into play for the extending the tripod height for the refractor variant of this telescope. But there's absolutely no reason, if you're very tall, there's absolutely no reason why you can't add that onto there, and we'll do that now also. We'll check and see how that kind of looks. To add this on, you've got 3 screws, plastic like the clutches on the mount. Undo those and that will pull off. This puck attaches as the tripod would do underneath the mount. So we'll nip that up, make sure that's nice and secure. Kind of looks like that. Get that in the field of view of the camera. And then we can simply add the little Pier extension on the bottom, and because that's got a lip, try and touch to focus on that, because that's got a lip there, these bolts will catch on that and stop it from falling off. Do that up now. That's very straightforward and easy to do. Ta-da! The scope back aboard, the fixing dovetail. To be honest, with this Pier extension, it's very wobbly. Look at that. This is a very high powered telescope with a very long focal length, so any little knocks will be amplified greatly because of the magnification that this telescope produces. And this little Pier extension here is creating a bit of a lever that makes the mount wobble. I think the weak bit seems to be the tripod head. So it seems absolutely fine without this, but I think unless you had the refractor version of this where you've got a very long tube, and the benefit of having the extra height would outweigh the extra wobble created by this Pier extension. I think with this telescope and with the reflector, you're better off not using this Pier extension. I will measure the Pier extension though, because I've not done that yet. So it's an 8.5 inch Pier extension, so it adds an extra 8.5 inches to the height. So that brings the total height up to the base of the mount to 52.5 inches. That's a shame actually, it creates so much wobble, because if you're looking at a reasonable altitude, then that's actually quite a nice height for the eyepiece. So in a way I take it back, but I just don't think I think you're better off sort of like getting a chair and having it lower down and more stable, because it does introduce, this Pier extension does introduce a lot of wobbles to the system. So what I'll do is I'll quick compare how wobbly it is without the Pier extension. Got to bear in mind that I'm on carpet as well, so there will be a little bit of give compared to on concrete, but that feels a lot more solid. Let's attach some accessories to this. So we've got the slow motion controls here, 2 of those to put on. They've just got like I think that's where the screwdriver that comes with this comes into play. To put the slow motion controls on, there's a little flat bit on this breast peg. You just line that up with the screw, and then we can control the telescope using the slow motion control, and that's lovely and smooth. So we can do the same with the other axis here, the altitude axis, and this gives you an option to either put the slow motion on that side or that side. With both axes you can have the slow motion on either side, so it's quite flexible. As we can see now, that gives you beautiful, smooth slow motion controls in both altitude and azimuth. The first impressions seem really positive for the mount head. As said, I'm not too convinced, even though the Pier extension looks amazing, I'm not too convinced by it. I just think it just adds too much leverage on this very weak tripod head, which is fair enough because it is a lightweight tripod. Let's go and put the erect prism diagonal on there. Has both caps on there to keep the dust out. There's a 1.25 inch visual back on the telescope. We can just undo these 2 screws and slot that in, it's push fit, and then nip those up a little bit, and then we can put the eyepiece in this part of the diagonal here. So let's jump and grab the 25mm modified achromat that comes with the telescope. As said, there's 2 eyepieces just to get you going, the 25mm and the 10mm. This is how it goes in, it just slots in there. It's a push fit, 1.25 inch. You can take the dust cap off. You can fold up the rubber eye cup to get a seal around your eye. And that's how you observe, with of course taking the cover off the front. If you're just doing pure nighttime observations of stars and planets and the moon, etc., deep sky objects, bright deep sky objects, then get yourself a mirrored diagonal as an added extra for this system. You can upgrade the eyepieces, which will also make a big difference. But just to get you going, this is absolutely fine. The 25mm MA is actually not too bad at all. The 10mm is not that great. The other accessory to add to this is the finder, and this is basically a smaller telescope which is very low powered. It'll be in the region of 6 times, I think, for this, 6 times magnification, and that gives you a much broader field of view to allow you to find things, but you'll need to align the finder scope with the main telescope to allow you to do that. Have a close look at that. So it's got these little grooves in that you attach a rubber O-ring in there that fits inside the bracket, and then the adjustment screws for the bracket groove onto this bit here, so it doesn't move forward and backwards, it just kind of tilts with adjustments of the screws. These finder scope brackets always come with the O-ring on there, so you need to just pop that off, and we can slide that over the tube. So we're sliding that O-ring all the way down to fit into that little groove there. So we'll slide this in. We need to pull on that spring-loaded bolt, and then we can let go once that's in, and then we can make adjustments using these screws here to line it up once it's on the telescope. We'll slide that onto the shoe for the finder scope, and that just uses one metal nut to keep it in place. So this is how it looks with the finder scope and the main optical tube. And what you do basically is, it's probably best to do this in daytime and away from the sun, is point the main telescope at something like a TV aerial in the distance, or some really distant objects that's kind of like a vertical line or an horizontal line, or some point, you know, almost point source object, and focus it. And then what you want to do is then make adjustments to the finder scope to get the same in the finder scope. So you want to be centered on the, for example, TV aerial with the finder scope and the optical tube in daylight, and then it'll be all set up and you shouldn't need to touch it again, or rarely have to touch it again. And then when you come to using the telescope at night time, you can simply use the finder scope to line up with what you want, and then when you go to the eyepiece it should be there. But with such a powerful telescope, magnification wise, you're going to really struggle to find even the moon. Believe it or not, you'd probably struggle to find the moon without a finder scope. I know that sounds odd to imagine, but it's harder than it looks. I can lift it up very easily. I can hold it with one hand, carry that, no strain at all, and I've got arms like spaghetti. With the 25mm eyepiece, you're looking at something like 52 times magnification, and with the 10mm you're looking at 130 times magnification. And the maximum's going to be, I'm going to guess realistically, the maximum for this telescope is going to be about 180 when the scene conditions are perfect. I'm looking forward to getting this out under the stars, and also some daytime viewing, because it does come with a prism diagonal. So I will be doing some daytime observations, checking out the optics, see how it performs in the daytime, and also nighttime use. I will both use the prism diagonal that's included, and I'll also use my mirror diagonal, because I want to discuss how well it performs when you make the common upgrades that people do make to these telescopes a little while after owning them. As said, this is a loan, it's not been given to me. It will be going back, so it's going to be unbiased. They've not given it me to say nice things about it. I'm just going to be honest and say what I think about the system, but it will be in context with the cost, which is for the tripod, mount head, telescope itself, the optical tube, all the accessories is very reasonable, £260. I hope you join me on the next review. If you'd like to do so, please hit that subscribe button and feel free to leave comments below, and I'll catch you on the next one.